Yeah, it does. I haven't tried it yet, but it does allow you to share. Okay, so cool. We're live. What's going on, Ecom Empires? What's up, everybody?
What's going on,
We're
man?
live right now with Justin Woll. How you doing, Justin? What's going on, man?
Good. Doing what we can over here, quarantining as safely as possible and trying to get ahead as best as we can. How are you doing over there, Nick?
Yeah, lockdown in Manila. So you're in what part of Florida are you in again? I know we talked already, but
Delray Beach currently, which is it's South Florida near Boca, right? And we are in a slight state of lockdown, to say the least, right? All the restaurants are closed, the beaches are closed. People are still gallivanting on the streets and seeing what's going on, around town. But, commonly none of the businesses are open, right? So no one has kind of freedom to walk in, buy anything unless it's food for takeout. And, that's where we're standing right now. A lot of the people here are kind of, they're either very alarmed by what's going on or not concerned enough. There's kind of like no center ground around here. So we're doing okay, to say the least.
Yeah. So how's business going, man? Let's
Right.
we're gonna get into it and start talking about some things, but just how's things going for you right now with business?
Yeah, so well, to say the least. What we're experiencing now in the marketplace is, as I'm sure a lot of you guys and gals are aware of, that there's less people marketing. So there's more people online, higher screen time. So we're experiencing lower CPMs right now, which means getting better reach for less cost, which is really, really cool. And I wish my prayers and safety to everyone out there, all businesses that are down and looking to recover after this kind of subsides, however long it may be. But online marketing, online business right now is doing well, in terms of numbers, in terms of screen time, in terms of people actually looking for, either a way to go ahead and acquire an item because their normal way of acquiring that item is not a possibility anymore. But yeah, a lot more screen time, a lot lower CPMs, good opportunity as long as you have your supply chain in mind. That's the main factor of supply chain, whether it be ePacket, whether it be China Post, right? Right now we're experiencing a lot of volatility with ePacket. We actually spoke with a very, very close connection of them yesterday, and it looks like ePacket might be experiencing some even more volatility throughout the next few weeks, and they've been utilizing China Post more often, which is obviously longer shipping time. But right now, we're just doing what we can, and guys, more than ever, people are going to be okay with your longer shipping times than now. I've had a few people approach me asking if I should do a pre-order, if we should go ahead and cut off, just cut it off altogether. But if you have some sort of supply chain that's able to go ahead and get products out, more than ever now, people are going to be understanding of your long shipping times and what's going on. You just want to provide them with a good product that's actually going to have them enjoy what they're receiving at the end of the day.
Yeah, I heard the same thing. So definitely ePacket is having some issues right now, especially coming into the U.S., coming into Canada. I know some countries there's a lot of issues trying to get ePacket in, but there are other, like you said, there are other supply lines that are working. So you've been using China Post?
Yeah, we've been doing a little bit of both, ePacket as well as China Post. ePacket was doing okay, just had more or less delayed shipping times from what the actual quotes were. And, China Post is what is, I would say, more consistent at this point in time because ePacket is going to be getting cut off shortly from what we see. I don't want to jinx anything, but we've seen some, people talking to us that it's not looking too good. And, we want to go ahead and obviously get all the proper information and, push it this way. But all in all, shipping's kind of all up in the air right now. You want to talk to your agent, talk to your supplier. How are they dealing with it? What source and lining are they using? What's their supply chain like? Kind of just be open and transparent with who you're dealing with. And, whether it be your supplier or your consumer at the end of the day, transparency is the best policy right now. And that's what is getting us through it. It's what's getting a lot of our students through it, is the ability for consumers, if they're still able to go ahead and get the product because, let's say the store didn't shut down because their supply chain is still intact, transparency and letting the consumer know after every single order, whoever orders from your store, look, we're experiencing a bit higher than order volume. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but do not worry. Your order is being hand packed with care and will arrive shortly at your convenience. So you just want to be transparent and be honest with them because, everyone's in panic right now. Everyone's looking around them, seeing something they've never really seen since, 2008 or something, right? For a few years now. So it's kind of like a state of panic. And, ultimately people are going to see in a few days that, oh, wow, online business, online marketing is, a great option to move into. Right. So it sucks that this is what I don't want to say this is what had to come to for people to go ahead and, see that online marketing is a great thing to get into, but it's going to have a lot of people thinking, right, that, when I'm in control of my income, when I'm in control for the most part of what I'm doing, it's going to have more, kind of consistency and more of a confidence level in my own self to kind of move forward without having to rely on my boss to go ahead and send me a check at the end of the month, right?
Yeah, well, I'm 100%, man. That's why we're doing this right here, because, I really want to make sure that everybody has the content that they need, everything that people can need to make sure they're able to secure themselves. Because I'm sure, as you've been reading, Matt, right now, like, it's just getting started. There's going to be a recession. It's going to take a few months, maybe a few quarters, for things to get back to normal with the way the world economy's been hit. But e-commerce for sure is going to continue to remain an opportunity if people are doing the right things. So yeah, man, that's why we're here, to help everybody. And guys, I appreciate everybody tuning in here, saying what's up. Let me know. So this is kind of going to be like a live coaching session. Justin and I are just going to be talking, and I'll kind of lead the conversation going here. But for any questions that you may have, things that are going on in your business, things that are happening right now, I'm watching the comments as we go here. So just let me know if there's anything specific you want to talk about. But right now, so that was a good intro, talking about the state of drop shipping as it is. I mean, I think, the world situation as it is kind of crazy, but like you said, drop shipping, e-commerce, let's just say as a whole, is still there. It's still working. It's just a matter of focusing on the right niches, right? Because people are still at home. They're still spending money. It's just what they're spending money on. I heard somebody say it good the other day. It's just like, right now, the things that people want, or the things that people need, has maybe slightly shifted to what it was a month ago or 2 months ago, right?
A lot of realization going on right now, for sure.
Exactly. But people still want things. People still need things. So, as far as the state of drop shipping and people trying to get started, people making money right now, let's just kind of start with, I guess, you've been doing the coaching sessions every week. Coaching sessions are still going on, and I'm sure people have these questions as they're in there. So, what's kind of what you're saying to people, I guess, right now, as people are like, okay, we're getting started with drop shipping, or I just started my store. What is the state of things right now? How should I be thinking and focusing on things?
So first and foremost, amazing question, Nick. And I think that's very, very beneficial to our audience watching right now, because I assume a lot of them are getting into it or are wondering how to kind of move forward with everything that's going on. And the first thing I want to say to you guys and gals is, don't be in a rush to run ads, okay? Yes, CPMs are very, very low, but you need to be prepared to be consistent. And one of the things I always talk about, ladies and gentlemen, and your success is going to rely on your consistency and the systems and the person that you're following, right? So you need to have a system built out for every single portion of e-commerce, whether it be targeting, product research, or what have you. And what I'm having students do right now is develop their arsenal on a deeper level without being so focused on running advertisements if they're not at the point of having the arsenal built. And when we say arsenal, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about an actual product research list of items that have passed a vetted product research criteria in order for you to market. The number one thing that you need to be consistent and to force yourself to be consistent is a prepared list. And right now, people with coaches and other people will say to me, what would you say is the number one thing that is going to help a student in this time? And people will say test, test, test. That's very general. I'm going to give you something actionable for you guys to go ahead and, instead of me saying test, test, test to you right now, because it's not what you should be doing right now if you're not prepared, you should be preparing. In terms of actually getting your arsenal built out, going through actual AliExpress products, and having a whole list of verified criteria that's going to help you vet each product you're going through. So build out a list of 20 products, okay? And don't market a single one of them until you have your targeting ready, your video ready, your description, your product page, your lander, everything ready for each individual product. Your name of the game and your best advantage here, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be your consistency and your will to keep moving while the first product flops or the second product flops, right? You're not going to find your first winner on your first item. We've had students who've done it, but it's not the commonality. It's more of like within that kind of 5 to 15 range of actually marketing when you're doing things right? You want to understand that building up that arsenal is what's going to enable you to be consistent, but that's not to be taken lightly, because you need an actual proven system to move forward with. You can't just say, oh, this is a good product and throw it on my list and think that's productive. You've got to have a very strict system and criteria, like saving people money, saving people time, improves confidence, perceived value, woman dominated, all these things that you guys have heard me talk about before, right, are the core fundamentals of marketing in general. And you need to focus on them as you're building up your arsenal. And guess what? When you have your arsenal built up of 20 products, that's when you could actually start moving ahead and going ahead, building out your targeting, building out your landing page, okay, doing everything else to button up your actual product. Don't skip the fundamentals, focus on the fundamentals, spend time first and spend less money later.
Yeah. So, and I want to, one of the things that I want to highlight there, because I don't think that this is actually said enough. And it's probably one of the differences, one of the big differences in what you're saying, and what's helping the students in the coaching program actually do well compared to so many people that try drop shipping but it doesn't work for them, is with this product arsenal, right? You said like it's not just about having a list somewhere or a spreadsheet of like 20 products that you have the product link from AliExpress. That's really just the start, right? The product arsenal is having gone through many products and figured out like your top 20, and then not only that, but gotten a video made for each one and gone through and figured out what the targeting would be for each one and written the ad copy for each one, and then also created a nice product page description for each one. So, the product arsenal is not just like 20 ideas that, oh, maybe someday I'll try it. It's like actually going through and selecting 20 legit products that you believe and you've put the work in that these could all be winning products.
Right. And one of the main things as well, Nick, and that you said that so perfectly, it's real actionable tactics that we're talking about here, because we've coached thousands of people personally, right? Not every coach or, person in the coaching industry has been able to say, we've successfully coached thousands of people. And after being through thousands of people, coaching thousands of people successfully, we're able to see things that not many people are able to see. Not only because we've been more ad accounts and we've seen more businesses, but we've been able to kind of see more of an equilibrium on what works when coaching someone to what doesn't. And one of the most things that I see being shared out there is obviously test. And like I talked about, that's only so actionable. And that's why I think it's so important that what we're talking about here, Nick, is actually preparing yourself for that consistency, right? And people say, okay, Justin, well, now CPMs are low. How do I get moving forward? I can't ship items out with my specific product. What should I do? You should be preparing yourself with this arsenal, preparing yourself with all these product pages being built. Prepare for when you'll be able to move forward progressively and congruently. That's the main thing here, guys and gals. And we've seen this over thousands and thousands of people, that we've been able to actually go ahead and help with their business. And the reason that we're able to see this is because we see direct correlation between people who are not prepared, who are just going product by product on a product by product basis, and actually setting themselves up for success and being able to move forward consistently without having to worry about creating a new product arsenal or creating a new product algorithmic targeting sheet or a new product page after the first product flop, because it's already done for 20 products straight. And giving that picture that kind of momentum to keep going is what's going to set you apart from the rest. Momentum in the ad account is just as important as momentum as a person and as a human being. The ad account's like a baby, ladies and gentlemen. You got to keep feeding it. And even if it's got different data here and there, just keep it rolling, keep it flowing, because momentum is your best friend. And once you have it, you don't want to lose it. And that's why it's important to start with momentum from the get-go and build up the list, because that is how you prepare yourself to actually have momentum. I've seen this time and time again. Momentum will get you where you need to be. Moving one by one and all over the place is not going to get you where you need to be, because you're going to get discouraged. You're going to test a product. It's going to flop. You're going to think dropshipping doesn't work. And then the guy to your right of you who had another 10 products ready to go is going to hit a winner on his 7th product. And then you're like, what did he do that I did? Nothing. He was prepared. He was consistent, and he kept moving forward because he was prepared to do so. And that's one of the main things here.
Momentum, man. Yeah, that's very, very well said. Very well put. So I want to come back to that in a second. For everybody that's jumping in with us, listen, if you have any questions, please drop them in there. I see some people jumping in here too. Grant, Nathan, what's up? Kayla, what's up? So listen, so in talking about the product arsenal, obviously I think the next best place to move with this is like good product ideas for right now, good niche ideas for right now that, because it's shifted a little bit, right? Yeah. So it's definitely, I think that there's still a ton of niche ideas that are working that will do well for people. So is this something that's been coming up in the coaching calls? People looking for advice on like what niches they should be focusing on, and like what have you been telling people?
Yeah, so I think that's a great kind of point to bring up as well. And one of the things that we've been doing, and I want you guys to think about this on a fundamental level, right? So right now we're in a time of panic, a time of, no one knows what's going on, which means people are going to make buying decisions based on their emotions more than logic right now. Usually it's logic and emotion at the same time, but right now you want to focus on the emotional aspects of things. That's why markets like baby are doing so well right now, because people are buying things that are going to help what they care about most deeply, okay? People are looking to buy more household items are going to help them stay inside for a long period of time. People are going to the supermarket, buying chicken, buying toilet paper because they're going to be in their house, right? They're making emotional decisions based on what they assume will happen. And you got to understand that this is all a psychological game here. E-commerce marketing is human to human, is person to person contact. It's not person to computer, right? It's people buying from people, okay? It's real stuff here. So you want to think at what makes people want to buy. And right now, more than ever, we're seeing emotional decisions being made. And like I said, it's usually logic and emotion, but right now more than ever, it's more of an emotional aspect than logical at this point, because people are going ahead and buying everything, buying everything off the shelves. It's not really logical because they could just go back and get it. But all right, think about it. It's an emotional action because they're going out of their way to go ahead and cover their asses, for lack of short term, for something that's going to be, not really concrete. People aren't exactly sure what's going to go on. So they're going to act on emotion rather. And like I said, baby's a hot market right now because anyone who's got a baby doesn't want their baby to catch the virus or, God forbid. So people are investing more. They're investing more interest and more time at, these places, whether it be online or in brick and mortar, preferably online. That's why we're seeing more actual screen time right now, because people are buying more online. They're going on their phones more. They're quarantined. They're in the room with their family. They're scrolling through their phones. They're on their laptop. Right now, people are investing emotionally, okay, and they're spending more time online than ever before. So to many people, it is a disadvantage right now if you don't have your supply chain in line, but to the other kind of seesaw, we are in a massive, massive opportunity pool, to say the least. And that's only going to continue to go forward as we talked about the virus. Possibly, it's going to get worse, yada, yada, right? It's going to get worse. We're in turmoil right now. And the markets took a dump, right? I myself took a bath in the markets, right? So I'm even making kind of emotional decisions in the markets, right? And, everyone's reacting emotionally right now. So the short end question to that answer is focus on niches and markets that have more of an emotional kind of connection rather than anything else right now. And that's where you're going to see the most return.
Yeah, I agree. Family is going to be a big niche throughout all of this, especially, Mother's Day is coming up, right? So that's still going to be a big thing going on. And other than that, I mean, you have to think about the things that people do while they're staying indoors, right? Hobbies and entertainment and things that have to do with like home exercise, these things that people are indoors, people are not working, they're still spending money, they still have to entertain themselves, they still have to be able to do things on a daily basis. But Absolutely. The situation has changed, and so thinking about how you can improve somebody's life while they are going through this situation, I think is really where the opportunity is going to be. And like you said already, I see we're getting some questions about shipping time, and we can talk about that because I know that's one of the biggest questions that drop shippers have right now is how to deal with shipping times. And I agree that I've always been somebody to say that just drop shipping off AliExpress is not the way to go, and there's better ways to do it. But right now, one of the realities is, and you probably know this better than I do because you're there in America. Even Amazon right now, it has delayed shipping times. Almost all companies have delayed shipping times right now, and so one of the advantages of that for us as sellers that, and for somebody watching this, maybe that's a new seller or, you obviously, not having a large company set up or something like that, is just that people are going to be more understanding of the shipping times right now. People are going to be, as long as you're transparent, you're upfront, people are going to be more understanding because even the biggest companies like Amazon, FBA shipping right now is delayed in most parts of the country from what I've been reading, what I've been seeing. So, that's an advantage to be able to, be transparent with the customer, of course, but also still compete with products, because right now everything is kind of normalized where even the small sellers, can compete on shipping time. So So let's talk about shipping, because I see we have a couple questions here. To me, to be honest, I think shipping's a pretty straightforward answer, and we kind of already talked about it. But let's go through it again. I guess I'm sure you're getting hit by this every week with people asking me questions. So I see we had somebody here talking about shipping getting stuck at airports. Another person said somebody said supplier can't. They have a good product, but suppliers are having issues shipping it. So, what is the advice you're giving people right now when you're getting this shipping question every week?
So really just be upfront with the consumer at the end of the day and figure out on the back end what is going on with your actual logistics, right? It's super important to actually be aware. Too many business owners are like, oh yeah, we got delayed shipping time. All right, what about the delay? They don't know. That's it. We got delayed. Become one with your business, understand the supply chain, talk to your people, and have them talk to their people for you, and actually understand what's going on. Because the better you can go ahead and explain the situation to your consumer, or if you understand it more, you'll be able to kind of be more, authoritative with them and actually give them the opportunity to go ahead and say, it's okay, guys, I'll wait for my item. But right now, it's a crapshoot, right? It really is a crapshoot. We are in a weird place right now where it's great for marketing, but not so much for shipping, right? So if you have your supply chain in line, you got to make sure that your person's actually, the actual quotes that you're getting, so you could give an accurate estimate to your consumer, and also be aware that e-packet is way volatile than it has been in, the last few months that I've seen it. It's obviously way more volatile right now, and people are getting delayed shipping past their quotes, right? And that's what is leading people to go ahead and use China Post more, which is just slower from the get-go. So, talk to your supplier who's actually marketing your product and ask them about what's really going on back there, because it could kind of be a case-by-case basis depending on what type of connections your supplier has. But at the end of the day, we're all going to be experiencing somewhat of similar issues here in delayed shipping. Your item can get shipped. It is possible to ship your item for sure, but it is going to be delayed most likely. And that's why even Amazon is seeing delayed shipping time, just like Nick said. Another thing I want to touch on as well, guys, okay, is kind of like a different niche selection item that I actually was just thinking of. Okay, now we've done this, we've tested it recently, and it is doing well. We are profitable on items in this market, but you got to be careful with the way that you market it, right? It is the cleanliness market where people are, hand soaps and stuff like that. Obviously, you see price gouging on Amazon right now happening. Amazon sales getting shut down for price gouging. What you could do is have a 50,000 foot approach on your actual ad copy, on your display of an item that promotes good health and hygiene. You cannot relate it to coronavirus whatsoever at all, but you have to make sure that at the end of the day, it's a generalized approach and you're talking about it just as if coronavirus isn't here. Because Facebook, as well as Shopify, put guidelines and restrictions onto how you can talk about coronavirus in your ad copy, in your post, on your Shopify page, in your landing page, your homepage, all of that. If you disregard that and talk about coronavirus, trying to make a killing, you will go ahead and get taken down and banned from Facebook. So if you're looking to market cleanliness products, it's a great market, a lot of money in it right now. You want to be very, very cautious with how you do it, okay? And at the end of the day, be transparent with your consumer on the shipping times at the end of the day, because there's really not any magical answer for it right now, because no one has a solution. It's just we gotta wait and have these supply chain people come back to go ahead and make it happen, because right now we're seeing too much volatility to kind of give any hard answer, right? There is too much volatility with ePacket. We're seeing kind of more consistency with China Post at the end of the day, but that's slow shipping to start with. So, it's kind of a crapshoot where we are right now.
Yeah, and some suppliers, guys, like if you are watching this and you have an item but you're having trouble getting something shipped, you can always send me a message, because I've actually been talking with a lot of suppliers right now. Same as Justin, I know that there are actually quite a few, not every. The challenge with China is from my understanding and talking with people that are in China, that are suppliers and factories there, is that not everybody is back to work, believe it or not, because the reality is that if one person at a factory or a fulfillment center is found to have the virus, then the entire place has to be shut down and has to be go through this process of, quarantine and scrubbing. And so what happens is that, a lot of people, the cost of that happening is not worth it. And so they're not back to business as normal yet. And that's the reality with China. And I was just talking to I was talking to my friends over at Yakify that were telling me that. So, but there are some, right? There are some people that are completely back, and they are still able to get your shipping out fast, and they are still able to deliver to the U.S. in decent times that are under 2 weeks for things. So it's just about having the conversations. Honestly, if you go back in either one of our groups, if you search in these groups and you go through and like use the group search function and type in the word supplier or fulfillment, you will find threads in which there was people asking and getting recommendations, and then just have the conversation. Have the conversation with these people, because it's kind of hit or miss right now. Not everybody is, but some people. Yeah, exactly. But some people are in that position where their business in China is just good and they're able to handle this, and they're still able to use private line, special line, China Post, to be able to get stuff out there for you and fulfill orders. So somebody said, okay, let me see what this question is, because we just had a question come in. So Brian was saying, if you're selling something people need during this time, like immune system, hygiene, health, even if you're transparent with shipping times, they might need it before the virus blows over. Yeah, well, that's true. But if you're being transparent with shipping times, then they're going to know when they order it. But I agree with what you're saying. So, and I'll let Justin respond to this in a second. I think one thing that I like about what you said is you're being ethical, right? And I definitely agree that everybody right now, you should be, like, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were talking about selling, some sort of home exercise equipment. And I said, that's a really good idea, as long as you can find a supplier that can get it there within a reasonable amount of time. Because if you're selling something and it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks to get there, which is kind of how ePacket is right now, you're selling something that they may not even get a chance to use before the virus is over. So I do think that the supplier right now is really important. But I also believe that if you have an item that you think is a good item, you can always start selling it to see how initial sales go, right? A lot of times I will do that even if the shipping hasn't been figured out yet, because I want to see if it's even going to sell before I go through the hassle of finding a supplier and finding the shipping. Because those first orders are fine. You can just see how it goes. You can always refund the orders. You can do what you want, but you can still test something to see if it's going to work before trying to put all of that stuff together.
Right, and one of the things as well that I kind of want to bring up, I think it's a really good response, Nick, by the way. One of the things that I've been getting asked is that, like, Justin, I want to sell products right now that's going to help the cause, with people staying clean and having good hygiene. But I also want to make sure I'm not shooting myself in the foot and, not disabling myself in the ability to have a long-term business model, right? So people are saying, when coronavirus subsides, whenever that may be, is my business that I'm trying to build up right now revolving around hygiene and cleanliness going to subside? Not if you angle it properly, right? So this whole game is angled. So some of the richest people and the most iconic companies were built during times like this, like the 2008 recession, right? All times like this, there's always big companies that are being built, people who are going to make a lot of money when it comes back up, right? And one of the things I want to let you guys know is that during these shady times and dark times, you're going to be having a lot of opportunity, and it's going to take a real trooper to see that there's opportunity behind all the smoke and the mirrors with everything that's going on, right? And if you're one of those people who are taking advantage of what's going on right now, and you're worried that when this stuff subsides, God forbid, soon, am I going? Hopefully soon, right? Am I going to be able to go ahead and kind of keep the business running? And that's been a very common question I've been getting asked. And I'm like, it's a very good question, to say the least. And I was surprised I was getting that question a lot. And I think one of the best things about it is the way that you angle it during and after is huge. And one thing you guys can do for that that's actually actionable is to have a campaign that you're running for specifically, right now, trying to get people to understand the importance of it right now, and have more of a very, very general campaign that's running as well, and try to go ahead and convert both of them, right? One that's going to be more effective now, but you have to make sure it's still general, because you can't say Corona or anything like that. You just want to kind of play on people's raw emotions right now. And then you want to have more of a more generalized campaign that's going to kind of have more of a 365-day approach to it. So kind of utilize the opportunity you have now to go ahead and market, but also have different campaigns running. They're going to be more of a long-lasting, long approach, right? And this is all about the way that you angle your offer, right? The way that you angle your offer is going to determine how it sells, where it sells, and to who it sells. So it's important to make sure that you have different angles every single time that you're marketing an item, in case one angle suddenly gets saturated or one angle suddenly stops selling. Then you got more angles to sell. Your angle is the vehicle that your product needs to sell millions of dollars, and it's all angle.
That's a really good point. Having the right marketing angle, and it's also a really good point that you said there. That was kind of like, I want to make sure people caught that. Well, number one, you are not allowed to mention coronavirus specifically on Facebook or on Google. But, like you said, you don't need to, right? One of the things about marketing that's important, I think, and especially as marketers for us to understand is that, like, what we're constantly trying to do is enter the conversation that's already happening inside somebody's head, right? It's important to understand that you're never going to convince somebody of something that they need or they want. They have to already have some sort of need or desire that's there, and you're presenting them the product right for them at the right time. The conversation's already happening in their head. And so in that situation, there's no reason to mention coronavirus. You don't have to. People know about the coronavirus. People know what's happening. People know what's going on. It's all over Facebook. So if you can say something in a more general way that just has to do with, say, in this example, hygiene, right, then you're able to already enter the conversation that's happening without needing to be super specific in a way that is going to get you locked down by Facebook anyway if you try to do something like that.
Yeah, that was a badass thing to add on, because that couldn't be more true, to be honest. And it's so funny that you actually said that. And guys, this is completely live. We didn't talk about it, before. We're simply just spitting out facts right now. And Nick, I resonate with that so much, because literally like an hour and a half ago, I did a live stream inside the Beyond Six Figures group, and we're talking about kind of branding and descriptions, how to separate yourself from the rest, and packaging. And one of the things that I was saying is that you want to kind of think about the questions that the consumer would have in their mind as they're looking at your product, and label those as the benefits on the package that you're going to be having. Basically, the answers to questions that people are going to be having in their head as they look at your product, as they determine if they're going to have a positive or negative bias, and have those in kind of statement formation benefits on the actual label, and have essential answers to these questions on the packaging. So that's exactly a testimony to what you just said, and it couldn't be more true. Go into the consumer's mind and think, what's the conversation they're having? What questions do they have? And knock out their objections on the label and your ad copy of your actual product, of your product or your advertisement. And that's going to be able to go ahead and get you one step further in getting these people to go down your value ladder.
Yes, exactly. The value ladder. I love that, because this is another point that I think, another point that I think some people forget is that really the ad's main job is just to get people to click to the product page. You're not trying to sell somebody in the ad, right? You're just trying to get them interested. You're trying to capture their attention. You're basically trying to sell them on the fact that, hey, come look at my product page and give this product a chance of why it should be good for you. And so the product page is really where you're doing all the selling, the next step in the value ladder that you're talking about, where that's where, like what you're saying, thinking about the questions that they already have. That's where you can get a little bit more in detail and talk a little bit more about, like, the virus or conditions or situations on the product page, because now you have their attention, and you don't really need to use that like that on the ad, trying to be so specific on the ad. You just need to like speak to what they're thinking already and get their attention to bring them in there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, one of the big things as well that I was talking about is how people kind of fail to use the product description. And that's really good real estate that's going to allow you to kind of convert that buyer at the end of the day. Some people will go ahead and buy without even reading the description, but a lot of people who are calculated buyers, which not really a lot of impulse buyers, but a lot of people are, people who are going to read the description, right? And if you ever download a Hotjar, use Lucky Orange, you see people scroll down, slowly read the description, and they slowly read something, and then they go to the top and they buy it because they read something they liked. Use the description as real estate that's going to end up making you more money down the road. For example, use the 3-concept description model. Concept 1 is your first paragraph, 5 to 8 sentences as to why the item is worth the $1. Okay, if you're walking into a room and you had 5 to 8 sentences to sell a room of 500 people on the item, that's the 5 to 8 sentences you would say. Something very broad and generalized that gives them an idea at what the item offers, and a nice little kicker at the end in the last 2 sentences to kind of drive it in there. And then the next portion is going to be 5 to 8 bullet points of the benefits of the product. And these could be the answers to the actual questions that the people are wondering inside their mind. Okay. Go ahead and answer questions indirectly, so they don't even have to ask themselves the question, because they're reading through it. They already have the answer, that the questions become in their mind, right? So you can automatically get these falsified, things that they think are true kind of out and get these objections out because you're being proactive in your ability to go ahead and present them. And lastly, we have the third, which is our relatable story, right? You need to have the consumer thinking about using your product, imagining themselves using your product. And one thing that we do is relatable story, right? One of the examples I always use, guys and gals, is let's say we have like an LED elephant, like a blow up doll for little girls who like to go ahead and like have stuffed animals, right? So we could say, our LED elephant will set an array of glowing lights onto your wall. It's going to have your child, mesmerized. But also you can angle it like this and have them start. The parent is going to be buying. Have the parent imagine this. Okay, our LED elephant's not only going to put an array of lights onto your wall to have your little one fall asleep with ease, but that means you will get more sleep at night. You'll be able to go ahead, hit the sheets earlier without having to go ahead and tend to your little one. And what that means is, less time awake and more time sleeping, more rest, less stress, giving you the opportunity to go ahead and be a better you in that tomorrow, right? So kind of the way that you format it and the way that you kind of have someone think about it and go in depth and be descriptive and be very, very, congruent in the story and the message throughout the entire description is something that's huge, guys. And that stays whole when we have the pitch, the relatable stories in beneficial form. And then we have our third concept, which is a relatable story. All of these being used properly is going to give you a way more effective way to go ahead and convert someone just by reading the product page, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, really good layout, really nice points. And, again, I think that this niche, honestly, that was such a good example because I think this niche is going to be huge right now. The parent kids niche, however you want to call it, so many families, not only in America, but all around the world that are at home, that are on quarantine, that are kind of locked down right now. You have so many angles there of what, things that can help parents, things for kids, even homeschool education type stuff. Like there's going to be so many things that become more important right now to families because they're stuck at home. And there's no, people are talking about, well, what if coronavirus is over in 2 weeks? Well, what if it's not, right? Like we hope that it is, but you really don't necessarily need to be trying to predict when it's over. If you have a product that you think is good and can really help and add value, I would not say that like, oh, maybe I shouldn't start selling it because coronavirus could be over in 2 weeks. Right. Because honestly, the things that I'm seeing, the things that I'm reading are saying that things might not start going back to normal until July or August, right? Yeah. In America. Right. That's what the president said, right? And so who knows, like it could be months before things start to go back to normal. So there's no reason to, it's like you said, it's kind of a double-edged sword because we're talking about this as opportunity, and obviously it's a world crisis, and I definitely recognize that. But at the same time, for you out there, for us trying to secure our future and trying to make sure that we're, having financial security, like you got to seize the opportunity when you see something. And some of these niches right now are going to be so hot. There are, like I've seen so much back and forth. I've seen people say that products they had that were doing well have completely died. And then there's people that have products that are now skyrocketed in sales, and their cost per sale is dropped in half or more because it's just all about the product right now. And it's not that people's buying has changed; it's just what they want and what they need has changed based on the situation.
I love that. And at the end of the day, like we always talk about, Nick, it's kind of coming back to really understanding the consumer, right? And understanding the consumer and understanding what their needs are, what their wants, and how they think is is at the forefront of your success right there. And in turmoil like this, crisis like this, you got to be able to kind of pivot and understand the consumer at all costs. And we're going to start to see a lot of companies are going to go bust over the next few months, and a lot of companies are going to make their headway. That's going to lead them to be massive companies, worldwide. And I forgot the list that I had, but it was Uber, it was Venmo, and it was a few other big companies that were all built during the last crisis that we've had. And there was also a bunch of companies that went bust. That's history repeats itself. We're going to see a lot of companies that go bust. And we're going to see a lot of companies that go ahead and build themselves because they understand the forefront of the consumer's mind and what they need and how they're reacting to the situation. I think you said it best, Nick.
Yeah, I was reading that too. I think Airbnb was another one. Yep. Companies that were started in the 2008-2010 recession. And speaking of what you said, thinking about what the consumer wants, Adam dropped a great resource here which I have used. I actually forgot about it. I haven't used it in a while. It's called answerthepublic.com. This is really cool, guys, because if I remember correctly, answerthepublic.com is something where you can type in a keyword and it will give you there you go. It gives you a display chart of questions, right? So if you type in the word coronavirus, you'll get questions that Answer the Public is pulling from Google, like what are people talking about? And it'll show you questions like, say, when will coronavirus end, or what will treat coronavirus, right? And it'll just give you like this whole tree list of questions. And so you can do this with any keyword. And anyway, it's really relevant to what Justin and I were just talking about, like understanding the consumer, understanding the questions that are already going on in people's heads. So if you have a product, or a niche, you find the keywords that are related to that, you can go to something like answerthepublic.com and type that in and start seeing some ideas and some examples of questions that people might be thinking about related to that, which then helps you go back and start thinking about what is your marketing message going to be to answer those questions that people are already thinking. And so that's a really cool tool. Adam, thanks for dropping that in there. Really quick note here. I saw we had a comment. I don't want to ignore this from. Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, man. Abramain. WEO. Yeah, WEO is still operational. So you can talk with them. I know that they're still operational. They still have a private line. A lot of suppliers do. So it's just a matter of talking to people, letting them know the product you have, and asking them what kind of shipping times they can get for the countries you're shipping to. And then, so we have a question here from Lewis talking about, can you talk more about private line shipping from China to the US? Why some suppliers offer it and some don't? And is it true that coronavirus increased cost of shipping using private line, which can you still find something that works within your margins? Okay, so basically asking about private line. So first, cost of shipping. So private line cost of shipping should not, I think that I can't speak for all suppliers, but and Justin, you can jump in here in a second, but e-packet has increased, right? So that's probably what you're basing that off of. I think we've all seen the e-packet prices have increased because of the situation right now, but private line was already there, and private line is something that is private to your supplier, right? That's why it's called private line. It can be different for every supplier. Private line is not like a standardized shipping. It's just a reference in general to that supplier having their own special logistics that they have set up. And so different suppliers, different private line, different types of things. But that price, honestly, it could have changed because prices may have just kind of gone up. But with suppliers that I've talked to, their private line shipping has not changed because it was already there, right? E-packet is different than their private line that was already established. So again, it's kind of supplier by supplier basis, yeah. But I'll let you talk about like what you've seen and with that, for your side of things, talking with suppliers.
Yeah, no, you pretty much nailed it. Like we said, it's more of like a case by case thing in terms of can you source the product, is what are they exactly using, and at the end of the day, you just got to go ahead and talk to the person you're using and see how they're going ahead and transporting goods and what the actual delay is, because e-pack is seeing delays. Hell, Amazon is seeing delays. So like we said, a few times on this live, it really is a crapshoot at this point, because it's going to be different tomorrow, it'll be different the next day. It's going to continue to change, right? So, it's more, just seeing how it plays out and dealing with the people that you're working with in terms of actually having them be transparent to you, and you relaying that message back to your consumers. If you're able to go ahead and still ship products, let them know roughly when they should be expecting it. Because at the end of the day, you got to, like we said, you got to be transparent. These people, will understand what you're saying now more than ever. So you got to just understand that message is key in this situation.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's jump into, we got a good question from Adam here. This is going to jump in this a little bit more the technical side of the business here, with actually once you already have a product, once you're selling, once you have your supply chain established a little bit. So he's talking about average order value versus lifetime value, and asking where you've seen greater success. Has it been on the side of average order value, where you're basically really, once you have a product, you're trying to dial it in, optimize it as much as possible, right, put upsells in place, focus on acquiring more customers? or has it been on the lifetime value side where you're really, once you're getting customers, you're focusing on building out a really robust back end to continue to try to sell to them more things, more things, more things?
Great question, Adam. And the answer to that is the following. So there's actually a few different answers to that. So let's go ahead and talk about what the goal is and what we're seeing in our actual ads manager and our KPIs here. So for example, let's say we have a store that we're scaling and we got it to 2K a day so far. That's great, right? We go ahead and we try to scale the store really, really hard and we get it to 20 to 30K a day, right? At that point, what we're doing is focusing on AOV because we're getting so many orders that we want to go ahead and optimize every single person, optimize our AOV for every single person who's going to go ahead and order, because we're getting so many units ordered at once, right, every single day, that it will make more sense to go ahead and focus on the people who are going to continually buy. After you have that dialed in on a store that's doing like 20 to 30K a day, you want to go ahead and then focus on your remarketing and your retargeting, because you're going to be having more people, more sales going through consistently on your cold traffic on the front end, since you're doing such consecutive and quick volume. And that's if you're doing large days like 20 to 30K a day. Let's say you have a store that is doing 2 to 5K a day. You just can't scale it to the freaking 10K mark. Some stores, it just happens, right? You just can't scale it for whatever reason. It's just comfortably profitable, 2 to 5K, but anything else, it's going to go ahead and break even or lose a little bit, right? So then would be a good scenario to go ahead and focus on your remarketing more than the actual AOV and front end offer, right? Because you're not doing massive amounts of order volume in units a day, where you should go ahead and optimize for cold traffic constantly. You're at a point where you kind of hit a little ceiling in your business where you're doing 2 to 5K. You can't scale it higher for whatever reason. You're profitable. Now you have to figure out how to be more profitable, and that's when you go ahead and focus on your remarketing. Okay, so bigger stores, bigger businesses that are going ahead and obviously churning more, focus on your front end, then obviously go on your back end, because the more people you get on your front end, or they're going to be hitting your back end every single time. So you better make sure you optimize the front end at first to make sure you're not losing $1 from the time they touch your business. And then when you have that dialed into a point where your consumers are satisfied, then you're going to go ahead and start obviously focusing on your remarketing, do more email marketing, whatnot, doing chat sequences, the whole enchilada. But at first, you want to focus on core AOV, and then obviously LTV, because you want to make sure that your offer is going to be something that's going to continually sell and do well. Because what if that offer just goes to shit and you spend all your time on the retargeting? You're not getting any more cold traffic anymore. So your retargeting is just going to go ahead and get saturated quickly, and then you'll be left in the shitter, right? So you want to go ahead and focus on obviously dialing in first at high scale, and then going ahead and focusing on retargeting as well, because that's the lowest hanging fruit. That's where your money's going to be, right? Like I said, for stores doing smaller numbers than that and can't really scale to those huge numbers right away, then dial in your back end so you could kind of calmly and consistently move forward to go ahead and scale to numbers like that while your retargeting is already in play, because it wouldn't make sense to go ahead and scale to numbers like that if you can't do it profitably. So you might as well focus on the low hanging fruit on the back end, and then slowly but surely figure out what your problem is with scale at that point forward.
That's fantastic, man. I love laying out the blueprint here. So I want to pick some things out there because for people like so one of the things I really want to do is make sure that people have like an idea of the ascension of how it goes. And so you really just kind of laid out for people there, like once you find something that's working and you're getting orders, focusing on your average order value first is really going to be one of the most beneficial things to you. One, because your order count isn't even necessarily that high yet, and two, because that's really going to help you start bringing in more money immediately before focusing on really putting together a bigger back end. So I already know the answer to this, of course, but let's talk about it for people out there. What is one of the ways that you're helping people as they, like especially let's say going through the coaching program? We've already talked about in this side stream already. We've talked about good products, finding winning products, what to find, how to build a product arsenal, right? And so the next logical step is, once you have that winning product, focusing on building out your AOV. What are some good actionable tips, that people should be focusing on to make that happen, start getting a better average order value?
So first things first, you guys need to build out an upsell sequence. And we have a very, very proprietary upsell sequence that gets people all to go ahead and purchase very often. And setting that up is so important to increase your AOV, not even to mention adding like an additional option for premium shipping, right? Giving them that option to go ahead and add that to their cart. But more than ever, people, and this is statistics, by the way, people are going to go ahead and buy an item that they already bought on an upsell. For example, customer buys product A. They go through the actual buying sequence and they get hit with an upsell. Statistically, they're going to go ahead and buy the same item, product A, again, because they're already convinced on it rather than any other type of item, product B, right? And unless it's like a peas in a pod item where it's like you got a cup and then you need water with it, right? But in more cases, right, you're going to be able to go ahead and convert more people on a product A buy, on a product A upsell. And the reason is because when you're buying on upsells, right, you're very, very impulsive, even more impulsive than you are on buying from Facebook ads. So if you have to go ahead and kind of reconsider the decision and go ahead and be resold on another item, the time gap is going to be way too big. They're going to X off, say no thanks. But if they're already sold on an item and you go ahead and do a good job of getting them to say, oh, get another one this much off, they're going to go ahead and buy it immediately because they're already sold on the item. They don't have to spend time thinking about it, and that needs to be a quick split-second decision to go ahead and raise your AOV. So sell product A on the upsell after you already sold on product A initially, but for a cheaper price. That's the idea here. You'll see a great conversion rate on the actual upsell. And, you know, to be honest with you, it's been one of the strategies that we've been using every single time that we get people doing really well, and it works almost for every single person that we get on the system. So I would definitely recommend going ahead and getting that moving and possibly having a second upsell as well after the first one with the same product, just at a lower price. And guess what? Your downsell, same product, but even lower price, okay? Have them go through tripwires of kind of psychological buying habits, right? Should I go ahead and buy another one for less money? I already want it. Will I need another one? It's less money here. Let me go ahead and buy it now. These are all things they'll be thinking about in their head quickly. And if it's going to be another product, they're going to go ahead and take too long and X off. Make it the same product. Have them think about these things in their mind quickly, and you'll see a raise in your AOV. Not to mention all the other things you could do, but that would be one of the most important things I'd recommend doing.
Yeah, fantastic, man. And Lewis Cafferty just jumped in and said the upsell sequence really works. Justin's upsell sequence really works. So there you have it. So yeah, Adam, I agree. But so Adam commented and said, biggest brands in the world can acquire more customers with a low AOV and then pay the highest cost per action to get those customers because they monetize in the long run. But requires significant cash. And he said he agrees that newbies with low cash. So yeah, 100%, man. Like obviously, that kind of method, as you said, requires cash, right? If you're going to be, operating on the Amazon model where you are not, operating at a profit margin for 15, 20 years, then you're going to need to have significant cash flow and investors, I think, to operate like that. So, obviously for everybody watching, like, people who are newer, this is like, we'll focus on, like, let's call it profit margin e-commerce to be able to do that kind of stuff. And knowing your numbers, I think, is one of the important things there for sure, that like what Adam just said, because like that's super important. If you know your numbers, then you are able to know the future of your business, whether you're operating at a break even, you're operating like at a loss, you're operating at a higher AOV. Like if you know your numbers and you know what you're making based on the lifetime of that customer, then you're always going to be able to win. So we had something here. Well, let me see what this says. This is a long comment, and we're going to start wrapping it up here in a minute, guys. But let's see if we can get to this question here. So first of all, said love it. Thanks, Ivilo. Love it. Thanks for watching. So he said currently testing a CBO $10 per ad set, 13 audiences, 2 million size each. Only day 2 ad creatives. And saw the video gets way more better traffic on day 1, so switch to GIF off. So, okay, let me see what the question is. You got a lot of questions. Oh, man, this is a lot. All right, so tested. My question here, should we try to add a different ad creative for different audiences, or should it be the same in the beginning so we can see which one works for a specific audience?
I would go with the same one from the get-go. What you want to go ahead and do is see if your product's a winner from the start. If your product's a true winner, it's going to sell if you have a good creative. And if you're following a proper system, you should have a damn good creative for their winning product. And if you actually start getting traction there, and you start getting some sales and a little bit of consistency, then what you want to do is test 2 to 3 more creatives and use dynamic creative to go ahead and put them in the back end. Or what I do is I'll create a whole new campaign for testing and essentially just burn the money in the testing campaign to see what works. Whatever starts working, move that back into the mother CBO that ends up working. So have another campaign that you test all these different creatives with, right? After you prove that the product's actually working initially on your, kind of home run creative that you thought it was.
Yeah. No, I mean, nothing really more to be said. That's a fantastic answer. And the key point there, I think, is if you have a good product, then you're going to be able to get by with a creative that's not like, you'll be able to improve the creative later, like further split tests to get better results. But if it's a really good product, then just getting like a basic dropship video made from any of the services out there for $15, $20, $30 is going to be able to get you good enough results to know that you have a winner on the first end. So on day one, you had like 12 add to carts, 1 purchase, 3 unfinished checkouts. Even if you have 1 purchase on an ad, should we move it into another CBO, or should you wait until you have more? Okay, so I don't think you don't want to do it on just 1 purchase. I guess you're referring to the ad set strategy that I've taught. I don't, maybe you got it from me, someone else, but the strategy I've talked about this, where once you have an ad set that's performing well and getting purchases, you duplicate it into its own campaign, its own CBO, and you just duplicate that ad set like 4 or 5 times. That works really well. But the thing is about that is, you need more evidence than 1 purchase. 1 purchase could be a fluke. I would wait until you at least had 3 to 5 purchases on that at a profitable ROAS, like within the first couple of days, before I would be looking at duplicating. But Justin, I'll let you jump in on your opinion on that one too.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, because when you, and it's kind of the same thing with the creative, right? You want to just prove more, have more consistency before you go out and move forward. And sometimes on ad set level, I'll be super aggressive, and on one sale I'll go ahead and duplicate it 10 times just to be super aggressive. But oftentimes I do lose money on it, right? But oftentimes it does work. It's really, I would say, if you're strapped for cash, go ahead and wait till it's more consistent and proven. But if you're someone who's wants to fire out the gate and money is not an issue, then go ahead and then be aggressive and try that. But in terms of actually most marketers starting off, I would recommend seeing more consistency before moving forward to go ahead and further test an ad set.
Yeah, and so for questions 3 and 4 that you have here, so on question 3, you said your creative seems to be doing okay, but should you stick with it while you test new audiences? Justin already answered that. Just stick with 1 creative for now. And 4, you said tomorrow on day 3, we're seeing some audiences are not working for us. Should we create new ad sets and run 2 creatives? So here's the thing I would say to that. You said in the beginning that you're already testing 13 different audiences with 2 million each. I would say, in my personal opinion, that you should be able to have some winning audiences if you're testing 13 already. So, for me, I generally don't test more than 10 audiences. I usually test somewhere from 5 to 10 audiences. And for me, right, I'm not saying it's like this every time, but for me and what I've seen, 95% of the time, if I'm not finding a few winning audiences within the first 10, it's probably just a product I'm going to move on. There, that's kind of, I think, the importance of kind of what Justin was saying with the product arsenal. When you have a whole bunch of products in your arsenal ready to go, you don't have to focus on trying to make one be more than it really is. And it sounds like you've got some purchases on this, so you might be fine. But what I'm just saying is, in the hypothetical situation that you test 13 audiences that you've researched, and by day 3, most of them are crapping out, and you're like, well, should I test more audiences? For me personally, I'd say no. I'd be moving on because that's a lot of audiences to test. 13 is already like pretty deep into the testing phase.
Yeah, I totally agree. And anywhere from 7 to 12 is where I'll usually go ahead and test initially from a blank product, right? And ultimately, if this doesn't do well on those, I'm moving forward and I'm forgetting about the product with no remorse.
So let's wrap it up, guys. And we'll definitely, by the way, hopefully, if you guys have been watching this, or if you're watching this in the future, drop a comment. Please let me know. Or if you have questions you'd like us to cover in the future, I'll definitely try to get Justin back in here in the future and try to do this a little bit on an ongoing basis. Whoever mentioned that, warranty bump, expedited shipping are definitely great for average order. A warranty is fantastic because honestly, most people are never ever going to claim it, and it's just like people like buying it. It's just like a free upsell type thing. Exactly. So yeah, and guys, if you've been watching, hope you got some value out of this. Let me know, and let's just wrap up, I guess, with a few words of motivation, advice. I'll let you kind of take the floor, Justin, whatever's popping into your mind there, what you'd like to share with people about just navigating this time, continuing to move forward and focus on the right things and create success.
Yeah. So, ultimately, guys, be transparent, prepare for consistency, and make sure you're building out your damn arsenals. Okay. Like I'm telling you, if there's a single secret that I could say that I've seen after coaching thousands of people personally, right? Literally, I spent a lot of time coaching. It is being prepared to be consistent. That is the number one thing that separates, 7-figure entrepreneurs that I take on from people who, aren't able to scale. It's the consistency and enabling yourself to be prepared, to be consistent, and to build momentum. Set yourself up for success. Build an arsenal. Do everything except run the ad. And then make sure you do that 20 times and then run the ads. Set yourself up for consistency. That's the best thing you could do right now, especially if you don't know where to go. It's to set yourself up for consistency. If you don't have a supply chain, set yourself up for consistency when it's able to actually be utilized by you, and that will be the best thing that you could do with your time and your business if you're starting drop shipping or even scaling it. Set yourself up for momentum and consistency, really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I can second that. After having worked with in some capacity, networked with, talked with, helped, whatever, thousands of people over the years in drop shipping, the biggest thing that I've seen that separates people that are crushing it, that are killing it, that are making a lot of money doing this is exactly what he's talking about, the consistency. The people that I know that have been able to do really, really well in this industry are the people that have legitimately put in the most work. It is very, very, very rarely ever going to be that story of like, oh, this kid just got started last week and he happened to find this amazing product and now he's a millionaire. I'm not saying that's never happened, but that's the 0.01%. Right, the people that I know that are the underground 7-8-figure earners that are doing incredible things, and even the big earners that I know that are very public and well known are the ones that have tested hundreds, thousands of products over the past couple of years. Right, they're the ones that constantly have a product arsenal locked and loaded, and they're firing off testing things, and so there really is no substitution for that effort. And one of the important things I think right now, everybody is so concerned. So I agree with what Justin said about not being in a rush to test. You don't need to be in a rush to test because you have time right now to really focus on building a good arsenal. But at the same time, don't be afraid to test, right? If you have something, everybody's so worried about shipping, and I understand that, but just know that there are shipping solutions, right? And so this is kind of a situation where if you are stopping yourself from finding products and testing and ultimately, creating some sort of momentum because you're already thinking about what's the problem with shipping. Like I understand that rationale, and that's why I'm saying this now. I want you to be confident in the fact that there are shipping solutions, and we can help you with that for sure. So, that there are solutions to that. Don't let that stop you. That should not be the thing that stops you right now from creating success, from finding products, from testing, from, seizing the day, taking the advantage of low CPMs and market turmoil, right? Again, I'm not saying that any of it, I'm happy that this has happened, but the reality is that's the situation right now. And so there is massive opportunity, and there are going to be people that do very, very well. I know I plan on being one of them. I know Justin will be one of them. I know the people in our coaching program will be, among that. And so I hope that you guys are as well. If you're paying attention, like this is the time to take risks, I would say. In my opinion, this is the time to take risks. You want to do it smart. You want to have the product arsenal, like Justin said, and you don't need to be in a rush, but certainly don't let something like worrying about shipping stop you, because that's something you can figure out. Find the winning product first. Find the good trends that are meaningful to people right now first. Start selling them. And then when you have something that's working, figure out, how can I bring this into a better supply chain?
I 100% concur with them, and that's a really, really great advice. And the whole thing is really just preparing yourself for what you're about to do. And this is one of the things that I like to say, I like to throw myself into the fire and then figure it out. right? This is one of the things that you really don't want to do that, right? You kind of want to be prepared for what you're doing and kind of have that consistency lined up, or, kind of have the momentum, being able to be pushed forward because you have everything set up properly already. You don't want to be short-sticked. You don't want to have a few products only. You want to have a big list and enable yourself to move forward diligently. And that's what's going to be one of your greatest things. Guys, always remember, right now and always, everyone's using Ads Manager. Everyone's using Shopify. We're all using the same platforms. That's the control. What determines your success is the variable things in your business: your product research, your descriptions, your advertising skills, your copy, your description. All the variables is what determines your success. So whatever is a variable, if you're looking at whatever you're doing today, like, yes, this is a variable, double down on it. Okay, things that are controls, spend some less time on it this time. Variables.
Yes, love it. So with that, I love the final advice. And guys, remember, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to me, reach out to Justin. We're always looking to help people, and we will continue moving forward and continue to provide great content and hopefully support everybody in creating success, financial security with e-commerce. The opportunity has not gone anywhere. So if you're watching this and you've been thinking about jumping in, it's still just as good a time to jump in now as it ever was. It may be one of the best times that it's been in a long time to jump in right now, honestly. Use the opportunity, use the time that you have to get prepared, like he said, and yeah, guys, stay safe. Wish you all the best wherever you are in the world. Justin, thank you so much as always for being part of here. This man is crazy busy. He's always doing coaching calls, and so we try to plan these in between our two schedules and time zones. It's hard to get these done sometimes, but
hopping on with it, brother. Honestly, I love serving the EE community. These guys are great, and it's a pleasure to be here, to say the least.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you again in the next live. Talk to you later.
Have a good one, guys.